Good morning, and thank you for joining today's webinar from Spec Innovations, Navigating Aerospace and Defense Compliance with MBSE. My name is Taylor Duffy, and I will be the moderator for today's webinar. First, I would like to go over some housekeeping. During the presentation, feel free to send us questions, and we will get them answered in the Q&A part of the webinar. You can also interact with us on LinkedIn through the InnoSlate users group or through X using the handle @SpecInnovations. The webinar is being recorded and will be made available to you after the live presentation, so keep an eye out for it in your inbox. Now, I would like to introduce you to our presenter, Spec Innovations President and Founder, Dr. Stephen Dam. Dr. Dam has been involved with research, experiments, operations analysis, software development, systems engineering, and training for more than 40 years. He has also received an Expert Systems Engineering Professional ESCP certification from INCOSE. He is currently applying systems engineering techniques to various DoD, DOE, and commercial projects. Feel free to send him any questions through the LinkedIn users group or send him an email to stephen.dam@specinnovations.com. And now I'll hand over the controls to Dr. Dam and we'll get started.
Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about some of the challenges that we have with making sure we're compliant to all the different variety of different things that are out there in aerospace and defense, and talk about how traceability and documentation for requirements within model-based systems engineering can help us deal with this massive amount of information we have to look at and trace. And then we're going to talk about aligning your models to defense standards and frameworks and how that can be done. And then I'll talk a little bit about the future digital standards, because that's really something that's happening that we're kind of at the forefront of. So I want to kind of talk to that a little bit. And then we'll dig into the tool itself a little bit and have plenty of time for Q&A. So some of the challenges you can see is just a whole variety of different overlapping requirements coming into us, particularly this in the cyber world. We're right now going through SOC 2, ISO 9001, on and on, you know, and every time we turn around, somebody else wants to do an ATO on the software, you know, and so they need different things. We have a stigma from DISA. So you think we get many different kinds of things where we're looking at the same information and trying to track it and understand what it is. CMMC's coming in. Of course, the different things, and not only do we have federal acquisition regulations across the entire government, there's the defense federal acquisition regulations as well. So that's the DFARS, and so all these very often get flowed down to all the contractors. So you're just trying to deal with this incredible broad landscape, and it's not just U.S. of course. You know, if you're doing any NATO work, you have that. And of course, there are all kinds of international standards, right? The ISOs, things like that. So again, particularly since we have intricate global supply chains, how do we track those and know what's going on with them? Just a lot of things. And then the key is, how do we protect our data in that process as well? So how do we keep things separate enough that we can track and trace and work with things and show that we have the compliance we need? So these are all fundamental problems. Well, one of the things that we discovered, frankly, many years ago is that we can treat many of these laws and policies and rules, these compliance documents, these regulations, they're really just forms of requirements documents. And so if you treat them that way and think about them that way, then all you need to do is get them in some kind of machine readable format that you can easily trace to it. So historically, that's what we've done. We take and we capture into our tool using our import analyzer. We bring in documents, and so one of the things that we do for our customers, we've done for our customers for many years, is we'll actually create a lot of these for you. So we actually have a digital curation station that probably a lot of you aren't even aware of. It has tons of these kinds of documents in it. So if you want to go get the CMMC parsed, it's right there. Acquisition plan template from DoD, that's there. So a lot of DoD, a lot of DOE, NASA even, and others we have a variety of these different documents available for you. There's also some other things that we have kind of exciting as well in terms of reference architectures and how we parse those, put those in InnoSlate form, so you can use these. So again, many of these can be found in our digital curation station, which I'll show you how to get to a little bit later, but there's the link for it. It's right off our main website. And so once you do that, you take those PDF documents. Usually at that point, we will convert those into Word documents, and these are word parser for the import analyzer. That's our best parser because that brings in pictures, tables, as much in the native format as possible. So that works very well. So this way now you can identify specific compliance paragraphs that you want to trace to. So the entire document may not be applicable to you or what you're doing or what you're worried about at any particular time. So you'd look at that and say, okay, well, what sections of this policy or the law applies to what I'm trying to do? So again, it helps you slim down that big amount of these documents into the specific things you need to track and trace to. So once you do that, you can then create relationships in the tool, helps you do that. And we'll show you how that's done here with the traceability matrix, and being able to connect those together to your design elements or other things you have in your developing. So this way, now then you can show, once you can create reports, easy reports to show, hey, we're compliant to these things. We're tracing to them. We have the information, and here's the data that supports that compliance. So I've got the paragraph of what it is that they're looking for available to me, and I have the specifics about the item I'm developing or whatever it is I'm doing. Maybe it's a process I'm building that meets those requirements. One of the things that particularly for DoD and MBSE world, so model-based systems engineering is being broadened to more digital engineering, and you'll hear sometimes digital engineering, digital systems engineering kind of terms. So that's kind of been the newer DoD buzzword now for the last, actually it's not that new anymore, it's almost 7 years now. The first policy came out in 2021, and so this standard was released back in actually December, so it was a Christmas present just before Christmas in 2023. So it's a fairly new standard, and so it's one that you'll see that it's basically saying how DoD will use digital engineering methodologies, technologies, and practices across the life cycle. So that's what this is driving, this particular policy, and this is having some significant impacts on the community, is to try and say, well, how do I meet this? How do I do all these things? So if you look at this digital engineering framework, there's a lot of stuff to it, and there's a little confusion between digital twins and digital models, and what are we talking about between the two things? And again, that's not for this particular one. Digital engineering ecosystem, again, that's not key to talk about, but there are definitions in this document for these things. Again, from the DoD perspective, the many organizations writing white papers on this. I belong to AIAA. They have several position papers in this area, particularly they've been authoring and developing over time. So that's another source for you to look at and maybe help you understand what some of these terms mean. But the basic idea is that I have to do everything across the whole life cycle to support systems engineering. So it goes way beyond this particular standard, is going way beyond standard just model-based systems engineering. It includes product lifecycle management, computer-aided design, and other digital methods. And it's, again, they're specific about that in here. And of course, the key is that they're trying to do this as part of the acquisition strategy. You want to make sure your digital engineering plan and how you're going to do your digital engineering is part of that. So So again, if you try to take this on, it's a lot of things, and a lot of these have almost buzzword kind of level understanding for people. But I think we can really simplify that for you, and I'll show you how we're doing that. So some of the alignment with models in this as well. So again, let's take a look at this. What is a model? It always comes back to what do they mean by a model? And this is their definition. I'm going to read it for you and let you think about it as I read it. So a digital, i.e. in an electronic form, able to be read and manipulated by computer, representation of an object, phenomenon, process, or system. The representation can include form, attributes, and functions, and may be depicted visually or described as mathematical or logical expressions. Now that's kind of interesting. And when you said read and manipulated by computer, well, is a PDF a digital model? Can that be a form that's considered digital? It certainly has a lot of information in it. You could track things that way, but it kind of implies from it that pictures and the math logic statements are supposed to be kind of trying to get you away from document forms. Well, that's okay to a certain extent, except that now we have new technologies where textual statements and textual information, particularly, even disorganized information sets, we're having to deal with. So again, that's still there. We still need ways to describe things. Some of that's verbally, that's in some kind of textual way. I mean, again, people like to say a picture is worth 1,000 words. I like to say it takes 1,000 words to describe the picture so people understand it. And so again, you have to think about, we need the balance of both to do what we're doing, because a lot of times people don't seem to realize that part of the job of systems engineering is not only to design systems, but it's to document systems. And that's a key part of what we do. And many projects I've gotten into, first thing I have to do is figure out, well, what is the system currently doing? Because the documentation's out of date. Nobody kept the documentation up to date. So you spend a lot of time going through and documenting, well, how are things working today? So that I can figure out how to fix it and make it better in the future. So where do we need to go? What do we need to do with it? How can we do it faster, better, cheaper? So again, documents aren't necessarily a bad thing. The problem we've had with documents is it's been difficult to manipulate them. It's been difficult to trace to them. Particularly a PDF is one flat file. It's very hard to go in and find a particular paragraph that I can say, okay, that's where I'm trying to get compliance, right, to this particular sentence or paragraph. How do I connect it? Well, I can't. I have no way to show that easily with it, unless I do it in paper form, and that's, of course, the last thing anybody wants to do these days. So again, one of the things we found is now with natural language processing, and particularly the new generative AI, it's a spin-off of that. You can manipulate your textual statements using the computer to extract meaning and better describe the system. So words have meaning too. So you can use those just as well as you can use math or logic or pictures to describe the system. And I believe it's a combination of all those things. It is not one, they're not precluding each other. This has been, again, I think a misunderstanding of model-based systems engineering. Everybody thinks it's just a bunch of pictures. It's not. It's the information that we are using to describe the system. So what's the future of digital standards? I think one of the things is we really got to get out of this business of parsing documents. It's painful. That's again why we did the digital curation station. We wanted to give people a way to access that information. But still, now what that does is you put it into your database tool and use that information, and then you connect it within your database structures and things like that. But then again, what happens when there's change? What's the impact of the changes? How do I deal with that? A lot of times people are doing things like they're publishing a web page with the standard now. That's the new thing, right? Oh, we're not going to do PDFs anymore. We're going to web page. Well, but the web pages often, again, have the exact same problem. where I can't identify a specific sentence or phrase or paragraph that I want to link to and trace to and know that it's going to be stable. That's the big problem. Okay. And so that stability of that web link is going to be key. So if something changes, I also need to know that something has changed. So I got to have some way of doing that. So we're in the process of working on that and how to do that better. One of the things we've done is we just did something for the Lifecycle Modeling Language folks at the Lifecycle Modeling Organization, and we've published their LML version 2 standard as a digital standard. And the idea here is now I'm going and I see it in document-like form in InnoSlate. I can then identify a specific paragraph I want to link to. If I click on that, this is the specific information. I'm looking at the exact same paragraph you see above in the second picture. In the second picture now, what I've got is what we call the entity view of it. If you look in that entity view up in the URL bar of the browser, it says cloud.innoslate.com/lmo/p/35/database/entity/2314. Now that is the actual entity of that paragraph that now I can be linked to, that I can create a hyperlink to it and know that that's going to be stable. It's going to be published. It's published in a place where it will be for as long as the standard's available. So that's that part of it. So now I can make the connection. Our next step that we're working on is figuring, okay, now you have a list of those connections. What happens if there's a change? How do I push the changes to at least make you aware that a change has occurred when the standard was updated? So that's the next step that we're working on. So we have some plans with this to go forward, but at least it's the first step in getting that stable URL to be able to connect to. So we think that's where the future of this is going. We're talking to a number of standards organizations about this as well. And we think we have something very near in the future that will be able to do what people need. Okay, so I've done a lot of talking. I'd like to do more actual showing. So let's jump in. So here I am. So this is a good example here of the DoD 5000.97. So DoD 5000.97. Let me click on that. That's going to take me to this. We've parsed that document. It is again available on our digital curation station, which I'll show you again how to get to in a minute. But in here we have it parsed out by paragraph. And not all these paragraphs are direct requirements for us and our tools. So we're not going to trace to these. So I'm going to close that section, close that section. So now we start getting to section 3, where we're starting to get into description, implementation, and procedures. So again, this is more boilerplate for us anyway. So we scroll down, we get to that picture. So there's that picture I was showing earlier of the digital engineering framework. So here it is captured in the document as well. So I scroll down here into the digital ecosystem descriptions and into finally someplace where I've got T's showing here. See the T? That says this is a relationship that's been established. So let's go see what that relationship is here. I click on it, I go to the sidebar, I see relationships. Let's go to active. And this shows me it's traced to the schema editor. That particular one is traced to our schema editor. Okay, so this is saying this is where I can capture information and keep track of that information and adjust it as needed. So again, that may be a good connection or not. Again, we're just in the process of doing this, so we'll take a look at that. But now what I want to do, I see other T's here. Let's go see what those are. I can see that much easier if I go to the traceability matrix. In this case, I just used the related version and trace to, and shows me now what I've connected. And by the way, if you don't like those, I kind of like the check mark. There we go. So makes it look prettier. Anyway, so it shows then that these are the things that's connected to between them. And if you hover over any cell, you'll see the information on both the information about what's the requirement, which is the top one. That's I'm sorry, the top one is our internal block diagram. Got it backwards. So again, those are the columns. Is the top, and then the bottom, the one in the left entity is the actual requirement. So again, these are structural models, and one of the structural model types is internal block diagram, but so is package diagram, so is block definition, so is the spider, so is the physical IO, so is the asset diagram. So these are a combination of LML diagrams and SysML diagrams types that are appropriate for that. So again, this is still tentative. We're working on this through, but here's requirements. So here's the requirements diagram. So yes, you need a diagram requirements. Of course, we also have documents. So one of the things I would probably add to this is our documents view, because again, that is a model as well, just another way of seeing it. You can actually see it also with again, our hierarchy, relationships, these are many other things that we'll probably be adding to this one. So as I go through it and look at it, by the way, this was just being done by one of my guys, so I haven't had even a chance to really review it yet, but you get the idea here. We also do have the traceability assist, and what's interesting with this one is it's not seeing a lot of connections, but that's not surprising because we have very little verbiage in some of our entity descriptions. So we probably need to put more descriptive information into our entities. Okay, so this is a way, what we're doing, let me step back one and go back to the dashboard here. So our structure, our interslate architecture is here. And what we're doing is we're tracking that architecture, okay, back to the requirements to see if we've met the requirement. And so I'm trying to see if I can see one that I remember seeing here. There we go, asset diagram. So there's one I know we did recently. So if I go to relationships, go to active, and then trace from. So you can see the asset diagram cuts across quite a number of the requirements that are associated in it. So again, this is a way I'm with one diagram type meeting a variety of different requirements that are needed for this. So you can see how what we're doing simplifies that whole tying this information together between my structures, my architecture, and my requirements. So this is just one way to do that. Another thing you'll often find is procedural things. And so in a standard, and particularly a policy or an instruction, there might be some kind of a process flow. And so when we do that, we model that process flow. Usually we use an action diagram, or you can do a SysML activity diagram, and you can do the same thing. You can do the traceability that way. So then you can show how those are meeting the requirement. So now this then makes it so much easier for you now to create reports and things using our compilations view. You can do reporting. Again, we have matrices to be captured. So lots of different ways, again, to create this very structured documentation that you need to prove that you're being compliant with things. Another thing is I wanted to show you very briefly again is the Lifecycle Modeling Organization. This is available to anybody who's interested. We can give you access to this, and then it allows you to go into here directly, select something you're interested in. Let's say I want to make sure I've tied it to some common attributes. And so here are my common attributes, and I could just simply open the entity view, and then that's for that entity view. Here's my URL up here in the bar that'll be unique to it. Again, the last number there is the ending number within the project. If you want to read this, the P is the project number. So this is project 35 in the LMO organization. So again, that we have a very simple, easy mnemonic to remember where things are and how to find things. So again, very easy to find out if there's change. And of course, once you have a change, there'll be a change bar. It'll change the color of it. So that's one indicator of it. In fact, there is a change already here. It's probably a spelling check to be updated and double checked. But where there are changes, then you'll know that there's a change, at least when you go back through and look at it. Again, what we want to do is come up with a way to push that to you to be able to track it and understand what those URLs are that have changed. So that's, again, part of the process of what we're working on. Last but not least, really, let me show you how to get to those resources. So if you go to our main webpage, it's specinnovations.com. Simple, specinnovations.com. And then come over here. Again, you can access InnoSlate here, sign up for free for the trial version. Also set up a demo. Highly recommend, if you're going to do this, request a demo. We're always happy to show you and get you started. It's very easy to get started, actually, but a lot of people, if they just try to do it on their own, get confused. So we'd love to help you get started. Okay, so here are the resources. There's a digital curation station and government reference architectures. So if I go to here to digital curation station and just scroll down here a little bit, you can see a large number of documents are available. There's that 5000.97 I was just showing you. But there's electrical bonding for NASA launch vehicles. There's a FAR supplement. There's all kinds of things in here. Just a phenomenal amount of material. So again, you don't have to do that. And if there's something you don't see in here, or if you'd like to contribute to something here, we're very happy to have that. So if you go to military standards, you'll see lots of templates for you. So again, you don't have to go do that. If you're interested in the mission engineering guides, they're here as well, and style guide. We're tracking these kinds of things. We add to this all the time. And so we're constantly parsing documents and making it better for you. And then last but not least, let me show you the reference architectures. There we go. And then again, under resources, reference architectures. And these are some things we're getting. We do have some other ones that we have on our GovCloud for government reference architectures that we felt were a little more sensitive. They were distro A, but still people felt they were a little sensitive, so we put it up on there. Anyway, so here's the Army's UDRA. That's a good one. We've done a number of things with the Moon to Mars missions. We're kind of space nuts, so we really like space stuff. And other things like that. So again, I think you'll find this is a great starting point for some of those kinds of things. And if you have a government reference architecture you'd like us to convert, please let us know. We'd love to do that. We will do that for you. Okay, so I think I've kind of hit all what I wanted to talk about. Are there questions? I'm not sure if I have access to the questions here. Chat.
Yes. First question is there an instance of Spec Innovations MBSE tools accredited with the DoD for use by DoD personnel where service level data can be uploaded with limited/no risk? If yes, how do users from the USMC get access?
Okay, I'm not sure I caught all that. So can you say it again?
Sure. Is there an instance of Spec MBSE tools accredited with the DoD for use by DoD personnel where service level data can be uploaded with limited or no risk? If yes, how do users from the USMC get access?
Oh, okay. So USMC, that's Marine Corps.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, that's basically NSERC. The Naval Systems Engineering Resource Center has both NIPR and SIPR access for you. It's also in the process of being put up on fences, and that could get you to TS level if that's what you need to do, TSSCI. So it is available on a couple of those kind of systems, and we can certainly point you to how to get to those people and make those connections.
What is InnoSlate's FedRAMP status? What level, for example, mod X? What is the DISA provisional authorization level of the InnoSlate software as a service?
So we on our public clouds, we do not offer FedRAMP directly. You can put our tool on it's a long problem. And I'll talk to it in a minute. But basically, what you can do right now is you can take and put an enterprise version up on any cloud you want. AWS, for example, is completely FedRAMPed at the platform as a service level. We have a STIG from DISA, so you can add that in, and then you can go ahead and do an ATO yourself. You have to do an ATO with FedRAMP anyway. Okay, we meet all the requirements of FedRAMP. We are actually third-party reviewed constantly between NSERC and Iron Bank, particularly, and now once we go up on fences, they'll be doing the same thing. So we have containers on Iron Bank. Again, you could load. There's another way to do it. So there's a number of different ways for you to do it. But you ultimately, even if it's FedRAMPed, have to do an ATO. So your organization would have to do that regardless. So we don't have that. We don't have the ability to create an ATO ourselves or get somebody. We have not had anybody sponsor us to do that. Now, again, if that's something desirable, we can talk about it. We have not done directly the FedRAMP because the cost is prohibitive. It's $500,000 minimum a year. So this is the kind of thing that a lot of people don't realize. The cost impact is huge. And this is why a lot of tools end up that get put up there become very expensive. So that access. So we can't offer it that way. But we do have it on AWS GovCloud. Some people are working there. They get an ATO. We've even had organizations do ATOs there and say that's perfectly fine. So it's really up to you. I'm sorry to make that long thing, but it's really quite an issue for us.
We have some action going on in the chat. The first question is this model available to browse as a working or complete example to figure out how things work together? The model was the InnoSlate one you were showing in the demo.
So the one I have, you can go to the best thing to do is go and the digital curation station. You can download the .97 and then tie it to your models, whatever you want to do. The things I was showing you, this particular one is our actual InnoSlate master database. So no, I'm not sharing that. But of course, the lifecycle modeling language one is shareable to anybody. But otherwise, I think my recommendation is if you want to see how that works, do it on your own systems. Download the .97 or whatever other standard you're looking at and go through that exercise. It's really valuable to do because you will find it to be very timely. But basically, it's as simple as creating relationships, which any of our models can do. So if you actually go and go to your main dashboard and you see the getting started, there's a guided tour. It'll actually generate a number of examples for you. You can just click on that, select the different examples, and then so you pick any one of them, and it will walk you through the different features. So like requirements, and anytime there's been relationships associated with it, you will see those indicators, and it's the same process. So you'll see that same kind of thing here. So it's again, to us, it's just basic systems engineering and how we've been doing it for decades with a variety of tools. Any questions?
Going back to the chat, this might have to do with the FedRAMP question, but the attendee that asked the question said NSERC, and then someone else replied, use AWS GovCloud, and then he responded back, yeah, self-host and self-accredit. So I'm not sure if you have anything else to say to that.
No, I think that's what you have to do. You have to accredit. Again, ATOs have to occur regardless whether you're FedRAMP or not.
Next question.
Yeah.
How do you manage security implications for government and DoD sources, parsing sensitive docs? Can you host on-prem client IT, also non-US systems? I'm UK based, for example.
Yeah, so in fact, we recommend if you have sensitive data, you want to control that data completely. You do not want to use a SaaS directly anyway. So you're going to want to get your own enterprise version and put it wherever you need it to be, on your cloud, your premise. You can put it on your laptop. You can put it anywhere. And we have people using it at all the different levels. And so that's our recommendation. Yeah, I wouldn't trust any vendor's SaaS directly, whether FedRAMP or not necessarily, because again, you don't know what they ultimately will do with your data. Now, how do we deal with security? First of all, we have all our developments done in the US. We have people here. The lead developer has top secret DoD clearance. So that's how serious we are about security. We went through the 2-year process to get stigged by DISA. We are containerized on Iron Bank. We operate at all levels of classification. So yeah, we're very security conscious, and we want to make sure things are correct.
Does Spec Innovations offer any support for helping customers prepare and obtain ATO approval? And could you provide guidance on how to access the resources, if so?
Sure. So we're glad to help you any way we can. Again, we can give you the spreadsheets and things we created for the STIG. Things like that can be provided. So yeah, there's a lot of things that we can do to help you in that process. We're actually in the process right now of getting SOC 2 compliance as well. So we will have that here, we hope, within the next 6 months.
Right? Where can we get access to other models and documents in Innislake?
So again, I guess the best place is the digital curation station and this government reference architectures. There are tons of stuff there. I think you'll find that's where we made it the central repository for you.
Great. Can you meet all the requirements for the DoDI 5000.97 using Innislake?
So we think you can, as we're going through this process of doing that traceability. We have, since we have the ability to curate all your digital artifacts as an artifact. Okay, so in Innoslate, if you're not familiar with it, let me go back to the just a model here. Let's go get a real model. In here we have a database. We have something called an artifact, and an artifact can be can upload any file to it. So now all your digital design information, things like that, CAD files. Let me get just the CAD models and show you a CAD model. So here's a CAD model of a car. And then you can, when you upload a CAD model, you actually get the CAD viewer too. So you have that. So we have some nice abilities to interact and with the other design engineering tools. Innoslate's designed to be a systems engineering and program management support tool. So it's across the whole life cycle. And that does include, in my mind, the ability to take the work of the design engineers and integrate it with the overall design, system level design, and be able to track and trace all those activities. So we can do this truly end to end. Next question.
How can I get access to the LML v2 standard, digital standard?
Okay. Go to info at lifecyclemodeling.org. So, and if you're going to go see that, it's lifecyclemodeling.org. I don't know why I didn't have the website up, but I don't. Anyway, so that's your organization. And again, that's the org and just info. And then you can do a request. I guess they don't, I don't know if they have a button up here yet for it. This is the spec. Downloads. I thought there was a button for it. Yeah, there's more downloads here as well of information for this. Okay. Yeah, they don't have a they don't have a button yet for the request, and so that's something that's missing off the website. It looks like. I will pass that on to the committee. It's doing the work. Any other questions?
Yep. Do you have a containerized version of Innislate on Iron Bank that is security technical implementation guide, STIG, and ready for download? Is this version maintained weekly, monthly, yearly? Who is maintaining it?
Yeah, we do, and we maintain it constantly as they have update suggestions for us. They identify library issues. That they scan for libraries that might have issues. Invariably, it's always a part of the library we're not using, but we do our best to segment those problems. And if there's an actual real urgent problem, we fix it right away. So, but in general, that's not. Can't remember the last time that happened. So, yeah, so that it is available on Iron Bank.
And Amir dropped the LML v2 standard in the chat. Link for that.
Okay, the link for it. Good.
Yeah.
Cool.
That looks like all the questions we have. If you could please go back to the slides, to the support slide would be great.
Sure. Let's get this one.
Thanks, Dr. Dam. We'd like to thank you for joining us again today. If you're interested in having our team help you align with aerospace and defense standards using Innislate, contact our sales team. You can reach our team by email at sales@innislate.com or through our website, specinnovations.com/contact-us. As a reminder, we will be following up with you very soon to send you a link to the recording and the presentation slide deck. We hope you can join us for next month's webinar, Inside Innislate's Roadmap 4.12 and Beyond, with Dr. Dam on Tuesday, August 19th. Your link to sign up will be in the email that is coming soon to your mailbox with the slides and recording. We also encourage you to visit our website and our blog, as well as connect with us on social media. That concludes today's presentation. Have a wonderful day, and we hope to see you at our next webinar.